it is my pleasure to bring on to the program in studio here Dr. Chris Ellis, again, Director of Online Programs, the College of Business at Florida International University. Dr. Ellis, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. It's good to be here, and I appreciate your invitation.
Well, we had some small talk before we went on air, and we have found out that we have a lot in common here, and we've been in this community forever, and a lot of cool talk, especially the fact that we both are part of the FIU family, which is very important and brings something a little bit more special to our conversation today. Before we get into our topic, let me share with our audience a little bit about you, Dr. Ellis. Dr. Ellis is a native of Miami, with a three-time graduate at FIU, mechanical engineering, MBA, and a PhD in industrial engineering. So I got somebody really smart with me here now. It's going to make me look really good. He's been teaching decision science classes for the College of Business for 15 years now. He has won the Best Class and or Best Professor Award 55 times. 55 times in the past decade, and voted on by the students of the cohorts of the various master's program in which he teaches. He is the newly appointed Director of Online Programs for the College of Business at FIU and the Academic Director of their Corporate MBA, a fully online MBA program. Again, the topic today will be about something called adaptive learning. And Dr. Ellis will discuss the impact that the software-based approach will have, and I imagine is having already, on higher education. This is exciting. It's the world that we jumped on, which is online. So online, internet, technology, it's what it's all about here. And this is another way of, and another big shift in terms of how we take our education to the next level. So, Dr. Ellis, let me start with the first obvious question here. What is adaptive learning, and how is it impacting, and will it impact higher education?
Well, very good, Pete. I'm excited to share this with you. This is something that is going to rock my world. I began at FIU teaching online undergraduate courses in operations and statistics and such. And we had a platform that basically tried to transform the in-class experience to an online experience. And what we found was people came to us with a lot of different levels of preparation. Imagine, well, moving into a graduate, let's talk about the MBA specifically, which is one of our most powerful offerings. And someone comes with a desire to start their own business, an entrepreneur. They have a special set of needs. Someone else comes with an undergraduate degree in psychology, or an accountant, or someone with a finance background. And we have to take these people, and in the past, we have been almost forced to give a one-size-fits-all experience to these people, to be able to prepare them for what their true goals are. And it's been challenging because of the level of preparation that many people have or do not have for the master's level courses that comprise the MBA. Well, adaptive learning is a technology-based in which we can essentially take a student wherever they are and offer them remedial help to bring them up to speed. We can create let's take my class, for example. I teach a course in business analytics, and it's a master's level stats class. And people are going to come to me and they're going to say, well, I didn't take a stats class, or I took a stats class 5 years ago. And so we'll begin our teaching, and they will find that once they attempt some of the exercises in class, that they need a little remedial help. Adaptive learning gives us the ability to let them leave the main path of the learning and go down a little side road and figure out something that was missing, a hole in their education and the foundation of the things they should know, and then come back on the main path at their own speed. It also gives the nod to the idea that not everybody learns the same. Some people like to watch videos. Others are very good book readers. Some people are great at test taking.
A lot of people are great at learning through audio.
A lot of people love online radio.
Yeah, we tend to think that. We hear about it all the time.
As the way that they get their information. So we have to take into account these different learning styles and provide a rich media experience that will accommodate basically all of them. So in this adaptive learning, which is wholly dependent on the internet, it's wholly dependent on the technological tools of our age, and could not have been done 10 years ago. A student will start off studying a topic, and the first thing that a professor must do is recreate their course. And they map out what are the points that need to be made, and what are the mastery nodes, we call them, so that once you get to a node, you can demonstrate that you understand that concept, that principle, that skill. And then the program, because of how the course has been designed, excuse me, will know what is the next thing that student is ready to learn. And there's a prerequisite hierarchy in the design of the course, so they can move on to the next thing and then take low, medium, and high level mastery classes or mastery questions to be able to demonstrate their proficiency.
Let me ask you a question. So what I'm understanding here, because I'm slow sometimes, is this is a learning methodology that can be applied to any subject. Is it also obviously a methodology applicable only to online learning?
Principally, the power of online is what makes it possible.
Okay.
Because let's think about the constraints that we have in traditional higher education. We need an infrastructure. We need buildings. We need classrooms. We need professors in front of classrooms. We need textbooks. We batch process students in our face-to-face programs.
You need a room.
You need a room with the lights on and the air conditioner working. So there's this idea that it's a one chance to move along with the thinking of the class. And there's another possible thing here that is very important to the idea of adaptive learning. And that's the fact that, we as professors, we try very hard to create courses that will provide value for students.
Real world values. Getting outside what is discussed in the classroom to get them ready for the real world.
Yes. But the real world means different things for different people.
Of course.
So I've got one student that wants to get into banking. Oh, let's get specific. They want banking in South Africa. I have somebody else who is aspiring to manage some type of brand in the Caribbean. I have someone else who wants to be in finance in Canada or something. And the idea here is, how can we do something called mass customization? How can we at some point, think about this down the road, Pete, and the impact that this will have. How can we, as you approach us and say, I would like to get a master's in business administration, how can we say, okay, what do you really want to learn?
Exactly.
What do you
That's
really...
very generalized.
Yeah, it's generalized. But what if we had the capability of saying, okay, of these 2,000 topics that you see right here, you pass any 1,200 and we'll give you an MBA, and you get to pick them. And FIU has the capability of having this library of knowledge, and their online learning experiences is what they are, and you can pick and choose those that really mean something to you, so that your MBA.
So you're customizing your degree. Correct?
Exactly.
You're not just going by, and that's exactly the development of the world today. I had one of your colleagues here talking about omni-channel marketing. And again, that's all based on by demand. And you're guiding them. You're guiding them again. Let's get very specific, because in today's world, as you know, it's good to be a generalist and be an inch deep and a mile wide, but the value comes in a particular area where you are considered an expert, a specialist, and that's where you bring most the value that everyone's looking for, and that's where you can grow and prosper.
Exactly. So we will have this capability to be able to take the one who wants to be an entrepreneur versus the person that wants to rise up the corporate ladder, and we can tailor their education to their needs. Now, this is going to take a lot of work, because as you can imagine, higher education is a big thing with a lot of momentum in the way it does things. And we have constraints put upon us by our accreditation board and by the state legislature. So we have to be able to teach certain things and teach them well.
There's certain you need to be very solid and have the fundamentals down pat and some key areas.
In the core.
In the core, exactly.
of things.
Right.
So, wow. Imagine now, if you take this thought further, where it'll lead you. All right, imagine, we want an MBA, but just by saying that, you're talking about, I want credentials. And we need to think beyond the idea of credentials, because FIU has world-class researchers that do world-class research in topics beyond those of the MBA, and that can benefit.
What I'm seeing here is what's happening in the real world is, let me come up with a dumb example. I want to buy a luxury car. What kind of luxury car? If someone comes in and says, I want to buy a Lamborghini or Mercedes or whatever that is, and the salesperson, great, we have this one here, boom, 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 you like the color, drives good, okay, great. What you're telling me is where companies are being most effective today, regardless of industry, is to put on that hat of a consultant. So not only are you a professor, but you are a consultant to the students to really ask them some questions, to try to nail down that area that they may not even know that they really want to go to, but you guide them along the way, and they themselves, as a good coach working with a client, they figure it out, and then you can help design the right program for that student. So every student is different. This is not a cookie cutter approach. These are the 3 courses we offer. That's it. These are your choices. Go in there, get your degree. Way great. I go into the real world. The best scenario is to go into the real world with specific knowledge, not just general knowledge, but specific knowledge. And it sounds to me that's what the fundamentals are of adaptive learning, correct?
Exactly. Now, think about the idea that, okay, someone graduates with an MBA. Thank you for playing our game. Your education is over. No, that's the
You're
way.
now in a new alumni, part of alumni group at FIU.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the idea that education ends at that point. We got to do away with that. Our knowledge economy.
You never stop learning.
Exactly. Our knowledge economy is going to force us to be continual, lifelong learners. Adaptive learning gives us this ability to set up, suppose you're 2 years into your career after you've gotten your MBA, and you really want to know about some higher level finance initiatives and concepts and principles that weren't part of your MBA. Where are you going to go to get that? Adaptive learning allows us to pull those experiences off of our shelf as created by our world-class professors and bundle them in some type of certificate that will be, we've
make a lot more sense for that student.
We've got to give a nod to the idea that we are about certification and credentialing also, but we need to have these learning experiences available to you no matter where you are in your career, so that you can continue to learn new things and be competitive and at the cutting edge.
Well, but adopt the mindset that learning never stops, and your learning needs to be as specific as you can possibly make it, instead of just generalizing. You know, I have general ideas about marketing, I have general ideas about technology, about, you know, running a business, about doing sales. Today, you've got to go way beyond the general knowledge. It's got to be specific, and each and every one of us is unique, and we learn in our ways, and we can really thrive in our ways.
Well, you're talking kind of about, you know, as you describe that, I'm thinking about, I currently am working on the pilot program for FIU, and my course is called Business Analysis for Decision Making. And
that's phenomenal.
In it, it's called, you know, it involves statistics, it involves linear programming, forecasting, a lot of quantitative stuff, and emphasis on advanced Excel and other analytical tools. Well, you know, some people aren't turned on to that topic, and I just talk about what I do, and they kind of take a step backward and screw up their face.
Nice knowing you, Professor.
Yeah.
You're a nice guy, but I don't know if that's for me.
I hated that class. Well, when you think about, you know, one of the greatest movies I loved in the last few years was the idea of Moneyball, and revealing how baseball was transformed by the Oakland Athletics when they started analyzing every player in new and relevant and real ways to be able to assemble a team that was capable of doing what they did.
And they started with the uniforms. Back then, it was the Oakland A's.
Right.
The uniforms were, where does this come from? You know, is this a sideshow, or what's going on here?
Right.
It started with that, yeah.
I could tell you about other examples from the world of athletics where data collection is becoming such a vibrant part of every practice, to the point that they wear GPS monitors to determine how fast they moved at every instant of the practice. And bodily fluids are used to measure how much exertion was there and how much stress the human body is under and all these things. And it all boils down to, can you take data? Can you organize it? Can you analyze it with the proper tool? Can you then turn your right answer into a good business decision? And then can you present that decision persuasively to a decision maker so that good can come of it? That particular skill is got to be one of the most valuable set of skills that anyone who wants to succeed could have.
It's about drilling down, and getting to the core essence of each and every one of your students. So going through this experience, they have a new mindset, they have new skill sets, and the skill sets that you have are transferable to whatever it is you choose to do. And that in of itself makes you extremely valuable in today's business world. Transferable skill sets, stuff that doesn't peg you down to one industry. You have the ability to work in different areas because of those skill sets and that mindset. So this is fascinating. We got a couple of minutes left here, and like I told you before we got started, we probably get caught up in one area, but that's beautiful. That gives us an excuse for further conversations.
Indeed.
What is FIU planning to do with adaptive learning will be my first question. And then second of all, again, from your perspective, how can we use this in the business world?
FIU is planning to make adaptive learning the core of our beginning with our corporate MBA, which is our fully online MBA, which is the largest MBA program that we have at FIU.
And one of the most highly ranked programs in the country.
Yes. I shouldn't say it, but if we could win a football game, then we would be more well known. but we're one of the largest universities in the country that some people have never heard of, and that's a shame because we're very highly ranked in...
It's the fourth largest university in the country.
Yeah.
Over, 55,000 students. So, maybe a few years ago, FIU was a best-kept secret, but I think that secret's getting out of the bag here.
Right.
So never fear. It's getting out there.
Well, we plan to use this adaptive learning to really differentiate how we offer education to the world. Adaptive learning gives us so much more power to mass customize our offering and to give a student exactly what they need in the format that they prefer to learn in.
Prefer to learn in or best suited for them?
Either or.
Either or? Okay.
Either or.
Okay.
And the idea being that you come to us and we want to be a provider to you of advanced business education, both during your undergraduate, graduate studies, and beyond. Mm-hmm. And we will have the capability of having those experiences in a library that we have to constantly update, of course, because we have to stay current. And we can provide a world-class education for you on whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes without saying. I mean, I've had the pleasure of speaking to so many of your colleagues the last 3-4 years, and I'm learning every time you all come here. And it is enlightening. I know our audience is fascinated. Again, we're here to inform, educate, and inspire our audience. And I'm inspired, and I know that a lot of our listeners are right now because everyone that listens to the show is craving for information. They want to learn. They want to take some piece of what they heard at any particular day and implement it. And we're seeing so many success stories as a result of you and so many other thought leaders and experts that have graced our radio show and here through the years. Before we wrap it up, any final thoughts and what message would you like to send to our listeners? The pressure's on, my friend.
Sum it up all in the
We're recording this, by the way.
Well, it's an exciting time to be in higher education. This I know. I love teaching. I love seeing light bulbs go on behind the eyes of students. And I love being in contact with those who have moved on to do great things in their life. And they number in the tens of thousands as we as professors hope to influence and change lives. And now we have this tool that really allows us to do something great beyond some of the constraints that we've had to wrestle within in the past. Mm-hmm. So just like we were given the tool of a computer and it changed our lives, I think adaptive learning in the way that we're going to roll it out will have a great impact on the survivability and power of a place like FIU that is prepared to embrace it.
Quick question before we wrap it up. Adaptive learning has been around how long? Where did it all start?
Whoa. History lesson. I wish I had better information for you there. It's fairly new to me as I have...
it's used in other universities?
Yes, it is used in other universities with great success. I would say that the companies that are at the forefront are no more than 5 or 6 years old. Mm-hmm. Having developed the software platforms that one of the best things about adaptive learning is how much data it generates on the students so that we know how much time they're spending on topic and who is falling behind and who needs intervention and all this kind of dashboard stuff so that you, the professor, can help the people that you otherwise wouldn't know were struggling. Because you're doing everything online. So I love the program. I love being involved in this great time to be in education, and I can't wait to come back in a while and tell you about how it's going.
Oh, I know all our listeners are thinking the same way. I'm thinking the same way. So I want this to continue because we can see things growing before our eyes. And that's what's really exciting, and it's the world that we're living in today. This show is by design. It's an ongoing blueprint being created, and this conversation is part of all of that. How can the listeners find out more? What do they need to do?
FIU.edu is the beginning of your investigation, of course, and you can Google adaptive learning and find out all kinds of exciting things. If you contact the corporate MBA at FIU, we'll be happy to tell you more about our programs and continue the fire.
Hey, we are on fire this morning, and Dr. Ellis, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this morning. Fascinating topic. Absolutely love it. And that's the thing. I mean, there's so much to learn. And if we're open to learning, it's never a dull day. And if we can take a couple of ideas and implement, God only knows where you can take your career and your business. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Pete. Good to be here.
Take care, my friend.
All right.